Would it be okay if the board, I know we're going off agenda a little bit, but
I think he has another comment.
yeah, I'm setting up his
Oh,
comment.
I see. All right.
Yeah, a lot's happened in the last few days with this moving target of the deer management, the deer culling program. Although I don't know if it's going to be called a cull. I've got a definition of a cull given to me today by the lieutenant. But the program is Trustee Steika mentioned earlier in the meeting. We did meet last week with the DNR regarding the chronic wasting disease, the first ever free-range deer found in the state of Michigan with this chronic waste disease. And there's been a lot of effort since Tuesday that's gone on. And at this point, it would be okay. I'd like the Lieutenant Plaga to give an update to the board and the community. This was just information we put together today after meetings in the last couple of days with the DNR. So, Lieutenant Plaga.
Thank you, sir. Some of the things that we've done to work cooperatively with the Michigan DNR is we've identified township-owned lands. One of the things that the DNR is seeking to do is to take deer and have them tested to see how widespread this chronic wasting disease is gone. And so we've worked cooperatively with the staff at the DNR and identified township-owned properties, which are on the map here that you can see, that would be that have been identified by the DNR as places they'd like to potentially, it's not every property, but they would like to potentially have access to take deer and then have them tested. We've also worked cooperatively with the DNR in private landowners. We've gotten several private landowners involved and they've granted access to the staff so that the DNR can work with those folks. The folks that are going to be coming into the community and taking these deer are highly trained sharpshooters. They are people that have specialized equipment, that they are suppressed rifles. That's not, you can still hear them, but they are highly suppressed, so it's not a large cracking, it doesn't sound exactly like a gunshot, but people may hear them go off as these deer are being taken. And they are looking to start as soon as June 3rd, which is tomorrow, and start taking deer, and they want to get a sampling. And one of the purposes of this is they want to collect a deer to conduct surveillance to see how widespread this disease has gotten. And the other thing that it does is it reduces the herd size, which reduces the deer-to-deer contact, and that is one of the ways this disease is spread. The police department is worked with them so that we don't have set alarm in the community. The folks working with the DNR are going to contact our emergency dispatch center and the conservation officers to let them know when they're going to be in certain areas working, so that if we get calls of alarm from citizens or maybe a suspicious vehicle type call for service, that we would be able to already know that, okay, these folks are in this area and they're working. They typically work the last 2 hours of light into about 3 hours of darkness, because that's when they're most effective at having access at these deer. And so they'll be calling in with us, checking in that they're going out, and then they're going to check out with us so that they know that they're gone, so that if after they've checked out, if something does occur or we hear or get a call of suspicious activity, we have the ability to know, well, it's not going to be these guys, they've already left the scene. Initially, there's only going to be around 4 folks working in the township for the DNR. As this project goes on and as they get a better sense of how large a scale this problem is, they may be bringing in a few more people, but they're not bringing in waves of people. It's because of the specific training these folks get on how to address this issue. There's not a lot of people readily accessible to come in and do this. We as an agency are working to locate, car deer accidents, those deer carcasses, and turn them over to the DNR so that they can test those. We're also assisting the wildlife biologists. I got a call today from biologists that had informed that one of their field agents had gone out to pick up a deer that had been injured or had been killed in a car accident, but it was in a high traffic area and it was unsafe. So we've devised a plan so that one of our officers can go out, make sure that they can remove these deer safely without anybody getting injured. And then also, if they see a sick deer that is displaying symptoms, the biologists aren't equipped to put those deer down. Our officers are trained in that. We do it in a deer is injured in a car accident. So we've also worked with the DNR to say if you've got a deer that's displaying sick symptoms, conservation officers, there's not a lot of them around, and it takes them a bit of time to get places sometimes. So with our officers being readily available, the biologists can call us and we can assist them in that way, getting the injured and sick animals.
Yes, Trustee Gainsborough.
Well, this seems like something that needs to be done, and I like what I've heard about how it's going to be done. In our deer management program, we had provisions that the deer, the venison, would be donated to local food banks. So, and our deer management program has killed, I believe it's a little under 200 deer a year, and which I think, we have a severe deer overpopulation problem, so I was always hoping we'd kill like 300 a year, and another 100 will go a long ways toward meeting that goal. But my first question is, are the deer carcasses going to be donated to the food bank like we've been doing?
Well, these deer aren't necessarily field dressed and prepared for consumption, because they have to be taken and tested, and so they take the deer intact. They don't, typically when somebody hunts, they field dress an animal, and they take the complete and entire deer with them, and it takes a few days for the tests to come back. So you've got a deer that's been kind of hanging around for a while.
Well,
that is,
but that wouldn't hurt if it were refrigerated. So I guess my first question is, don't they just need a sample? Do they need the whole deer? And the second follow-up would be, if they need the whole deer, why couldn't they refrigerate it and take it to processing when they've got all the samples they need?
well, I can't speak to how they store it. I'm not certain whether or not it's refrigerated. I can get that information and get that back to the board if you'd like. The DNR come and they take the deer as a whole, and then they take it off to their laboratory and they test it. I know that they need the spinal column, and there's glands in the neck and head. So,
Well, I would like very much see that this venison was donated, because this is a significant number of deer, so it would be a nice donation to the food bank. So I wish you would follow up and see if there's any way that this venison can't be donated to the food banks.
Well, thank you. Is it safe? The manager had a comment.
Well, that question was actually raised by your trustees on Tuesday during our meeting, and the DNR is overseeing this program. It's a wonderful thought, and your colleagues on both sides of you had that thought on Tuesday and asked that question, and the answer from the DNR is this venison, because of the situation we're in, this isn't something that they're going to be able to do with the deer that are harvested, at least in the beginning of the program in the next few months. It just isn't attainable. But the thought did come up, and they did discuss it at the meeting on Tuesday. As much as they would like to, because of the situation, they're not going to be able to.
Yes, Trustee Scales.
Something that didn't come up in the meeting, but I'm sure you've taken care of this, but I just have to bring it up to make sure. And that is, has the Sheriff's Department been engaged also because of their prisoner program of retrieving roadkill deer?
yes, the DNR has been very active, because this does not just affect Meridian Township. There's, Shiawassee County, a portion of Shiawassee, a portion of Clinton County, and Ingham County. 11 different townships are involved, and they have been out in a informational and educational effort.
Yes, Trustee Veenstra.
I'm curious, how was this chronic wasting disease in, I guess, northern Meridian Township, how was it detected?
There was a citizen that had a sick deer in Hazlet, and we were called out for the sick deer. An officer responded and saw that the deer was clearly sick, and the citizen had also been in contact with the DNR, and our agency had been in contact with the DNR. So there was several folks that said this deer was sick and we're not sure what was wrong with it. The deer, when it was put down, wildlife biologists came and removed the deer and saw these symptoms, because there's 22 other states that have this disease in their state, and it was displaying those symptoms, and they did their tests, and that's when they came back and met with the township and informed us that this unfortunate situation is starting here.
Yeah, according to the memo we got, this is the first case of CWD that's been detected in Michigan, is that correct?
In a free-range deer. There was one in a captive deer farm, where the high fence farm. This is the first free-range animal.
Fine. Did any of you have a comment? No. All right, then. Thank you very, very much.